Report, which will return in 1 minute. The Wells Report returns in 30 seconds. North to south. Wait a minute. Okay. Work, computer, work. Hi. North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. Good morning. My name is John David Wells. On this broadcast, we report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We make commentary. Commentary is not news. Commentary is opinion, both yours and mine. Let's compare. Let's discuss. Let's figure out what's going on between us and the people watching this broadcast. Let's come up with facts, truth, so that we can make better decisions, specifically in the ballot box in somewhere around 80 days. It is the Wells Report. Thanks very much for being a part of this broadcast. And as we begin, there was some interesting intrigue from a political nature that was being reported by Fox News in a move critics say is designed to shield the Biden and Harris administration from election fallout. The administration has leveraged taxpayer funds to mask upcoming increases in Medicare premiums. Now, this is a biased report. You got to keep this in mind. I couldn't find this anywhere except, of course, that actually I could. I found something in the Wall Street Journal. So this is double-sourced. I don't know why I said that. Under the Inflation Reduction Act, which was intended to cap out-of-pocket drug costs for Medicare beneficiaries, insurers are poised to significantly hike monthly premiums, with average bids for Part D plans expected to triple by next year. In response to potential voter backlash, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, rolled out a 3-year, quote, demonstration project, unquote, to subsidize these premiums aimed at keeping them artificially low. However, despite the appearance of relief, some critics are saying that taxpayers will fund a dramatic increase in subsidies from $30 per recipient in 2024, that's per month, to $142.70 in 2025. That's huge. It raises concerns about the long-term impact of government spending and debt. Now, that's pretty factual. Now comes the interpretation of all that, which starts moving into bias and all that. Former President Trump advisor Joe Grogan criticized the maneuver, arguing it merely shifts costs rather than providing real relief. Quote, "They've destroyed Part D premiums," Grogan told Fox News in an interview. "I'm not sure it'll survive legal scrutiny if someone were to sue. Objectively, it shouldn't be done. It's just interjecting $5 to $10 billion of taxpayer dollars while the taxpayers are paying the price 85 days before an election. It's sickening." He continued, "It's only going to get worse in 2025 and 2026. The program is going into a death spiral. They've announced a 3-year demo. It's already broken. The demo is going to fail. Premiums are still going to go up." Paragon Health Institute, a healthcare research group, called the CMS demo plan a fake, costly demonstration. Fearing the premium increase that the IRA redesign will impose on Part D plans, CMS has now launched a new voluntary nationwide demonstration program that is neither a demonstration nor voluntary. Unlike the massive subsidization scheme, the demonstrations are supposed to be limited in nature and test alternative features of program design. As a result of the IRA changes, insurers who don't participate, are expected to either be uncompetitive from a price perspective or face significant losses. Hardly a choice for insurers. So once again, is this political legerdemain? Yes. It's political legerdemain in an effort to try to keep something from becoming widely known right before the election in a very important voting group, those people that are on Medicare. And so is this sneaky or is this just good politics? That's a sincere question. Sneaky or politics? A173792172. A173792172. Do you believe that this is a good idea from a political standpoint, or do you believe that it's just plain sneakiness? So, by the way, I did mention that the Wall Street Journal also had an article on this. Let's spend a little bit of time discussing just exactly what they want, except, surprise, they want me to sign in, which is no big deal because I can do that very simply. And yes, I have a subscription to the Wall Street Journal. My goodness. The man is connected. Yes, I am connected. Government benefits. They're great, aren't they? Well, watch how Democrats are rewriting the Inflation Reduction Act on the bureaucratic sly to stop a looming spike in Medicare premiums before the election. Now, this is an opinion piece, so it is obviously biased. It's by the Wall Street Journal editorial board. The redesigned Medicare Part D, the IRA redesigned it by capping patient out-of-pocket spending and shifting more of the entitlements costs to insurers. Democrats wanted to squeeze insurers while reducing the government's projected cost for their entitlements expansion. Anticipating that insurers might raise premiums, Democrats capped annual increases in base premiums at 6%, but base premiums are for bare bones plans. Most seniors enroll in plans with more generous benefits, such as lower copays and deductibles and broader drug formularies. Insurers report that many Part D plan premiums will rise far more than the 6% next year, with the IRA's $2,000 limit on out-of-pocket spending, or when that out-of-pocket spending takes effect. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services also tweaked regulations to make benefits more generous. Some insurers warn they may exit the market to avoid losing money. This is something that we've seen at the doctor level. There are a lot of doctors that will not take Medicare plans. They simply won't. They can't make enough money. And is it because they're greedy? No, it's because they have malpractice insurance and a whole bunch of people taking money out of their pockets at every possible turn. And there is a limit to what they can do. I mean, when was the last time you spent more than 10 minutes with your doctor? Any idea? It probably hasn't happened in 20 years. Well, this is why. These doctors have to hustle from one room to another just to be able to make ends meet in their practices. There are a whole bunch of problems with all this. And yeah, Medicare insurers are laying the card on the table. Okay, we're not going to do this. But what bugs me about all this is this. There seems to be a gigantic amount of vote buying that is going on with the Biden-Harris administration. Student loans, illegal, but they have proceeded with them anyway. Now what we're seeing is we're saying, let's hide these premium increases through the election because they're going to go up in 2025 from $30 to $142. What? I mean, that's a huge increase. The people are simply not going to be able to afford it. So what ends up happening? Well, what ends up happening is the people that no longer have Medicare Part D suddenly don't have the money to pay their necessary bills because their insurance plan is so prohibitively expensive they have to cancel it. And what does that mean? Well, that puts more load on emergency rooms around the country, and they're so busy treating illegal aliens. What are they going to do about people on Medicare? Again, putting pressure on providers to either deal with Medicare or walk away. I doubt very sincerely these insurers will indeed walk away. There's plenty of room on the actuarial tables to be able for them to get a profit on all this. But the question is it the profit they want? They are putting pressure on politics to be able to get more money and indeed, while doing so, dare I use the word, trickle down a reduction in premiums to their patients. And what's happening is that now we're playing politics. We're using politics and we're using moving public funds around to cover a political liability. And once again, is that just smart politics? Or is it just plain sneaky? 817-379-2172, 817-379-2172. And I'm a little upset about the fact that once again, run-of-the-mill taxpayers are being asked to pay the bills of certain constituencies right before the 2024 election that don't last much beyond that election. These increases in Part D premiums are going to happen in 2025. And I find it fascinating that nobody said anything about this up to this point. It's the Inflation Reduction Act? No, it's not. No, it's not. It's the Democrat Buying Votes Act. That's what it looks like to me. So what are we up to? And by the way, I have to say this one more time. I know this may sound like a broken record. We're $35 trillion in debt. Just exactly how much do we want the government to abuse our tax money to handle political projects? Just exactly how much do we want to spend? We've already spent $35 trillion more than we have. This is a $14 trillion a year gross domestic product economy. It's unbelievable. And so, where's all that money going? Well, a lot of it's going to interest, but paid to who? This thing is coming apart at the seams. People say, my goodness gracious, we have to worry about inflation. Yeah, we sort of kind of have to worry about inflation. Imagine $35 trillion worth of national debt. And who's for crying out loud, who are we paying the interest to? I mean, the interest is bigger than the defense budget. And where's that money going? Moreover, how do they store that money? Obviously, it's all electronic. But think of the server farm it takes to keep track of $35 trillion. I mean, where's all this money going? Why are politicians spending it on things like, I don't know, hiding a political liability in time for the 2024 election? Then there are peripheral questions. When there is money in the marketplace, what does the marketplace do? The marketplace expands to grab it. That's what the marketplace does. It's called economic growth. The government, out of a broke purse, the purse is empty and in debt by $35 trillion. They reach into the purse and they put money into this and subsidize these premiums. Will that make the premiums go up or make the premiums go down? It'll make the premiums go up because there's money there to be grabbed. It's from the government. It's not from a patient. So there's no downward pressure on these premiums and or the treatments that they cover. And so what ends up happening? Well, the costs run away. I just described everything that has happened with medical costs in the United States for the last 50 years. That is exactly why we pay these exorbitant healthcare rates. It's ridiculous. From insurance to just going down the street and getting your broken arm fixed. That's 20 grand. And it's all because of government money, government spending, and the willingness for people to decide that they don't have to pay their own bills. They can find somebody else to pay their bills for them for a small amount of money per month. Well, that money is much more expensive than fixing the broken arm. Last time I looked at the cost for a medical program that's worth having, it's about $14,000 for a family of four. How much is a broken arm fixed to get fixed? Well, it's a lot more than it should be. I mean, what would you expect? X-ray, setting the arm, casting it up? What, $200-300? No. No, probably closer to 10,000. It's ridiculous. It's all because of interference in the medical marketplace. And now they're doing it again with Medicare Part D. This is the Wells Report. Back with more in just a moment.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Yvonne says Medicare only pays about 10 cents on the dollar. Any wonder why doctors and hospitals don't want to deal with it? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's no wonder. I mean, it's like, this is a great point. Why would you take Medicare dollars when they don't exist? You know, once again, people are depending on other people to pay their bills, which takes the market effect out of the entire industry. These people would lower their prices if nobody had the money to pay them. But because we fool ourselves into believing that an insurance company is going to cover all of our bills when they don't, and they so slowly chip away with copays and deductibles and so on and so forth until they're making money hand over fist, and we're not getting treated. And that's on the way, if not already on the way, with Medicare patients. You need to be aware of that. So what are we talking about from a standpoint of Kamala Harris going somewhere around, I guess it's 24 days now without having anything to do with the press. She took a couple of questions, just a couple. And all I can say is that that's not good enough. Nobody's asking her about policies. Everybody's just saying, "Oh, how wonderful she is, and she's a rock star, and she's more likable." And I'm sitting there going, "Okay, but what does likable have to do with inflation? What does likable have to do with the southern border?" And there needs to be some questions asked and answered. Fox 5 News in New York had this report on that very topic here on the Wells Report. Let's bring it to you as we continue on Wednesday.
Vice President Kamala Harris is facing increased pressure to sit down for an interview or to hold a press conference outlining some key parts of her platform.
I'm glad that he's finally agreed to a debate on September 10th.
For the first time since she became the Democratic presidential nominee, Vice President Kamala Harris on Thursday took a couple of questions from reporters for about 90 seconds and says she is ready to face former President Donald Trump on the debate stage. But when it comes to a sit-down media interview,
I've talked to my team. I want us to get an interview scheduled before the end of the month.
This means that the interview would likely happen after the Democratic National Convention on August 19th. Meanwhile, Trump on Thursday took dozens of wide-ranging questions from reporters for more than an hour. And while he was at times hostile, he also highlighted that he was at least facing reporters.
She's not doing any news conference. You know why she's not doing it? Because she can't do a news conference. She doesn't know how to do a news conference. She's not smart enough to do a news conference.
I'm not exactly sure that was a great statement. There are an awful lot of people that are turned off when the president starts saying that people that are running against him are dumb. As a matter of fact, this reporter often on X points out that if you have to descend to the fact where you're questioning your opponent's intellectual capabilities, you're losing the argument. Now, all you got to do is essentially confront your opponent with fact. This was what I was talking about with President Trump saying, "Hey, guy, act like a president. Just talk past Kamala Harris as if she does not exist. Just talk about the policies that are currently in place and the damage they do, and the policies that you are going to put in place and the damage they'll fix. And just keep hammering that until election day, and you will very likely win." At least that's what I think. Now, the Washington Post editorial board has hammered Kamala Harris, and I got to be honest with you, that's not a source that you would normally spend a lot of time listening to them complain about a Democrat anything. The left-leaning Washington Post editorial board has challenged Harris over dodging media, saying of her opponent, at least he takes questions. The Post said she should account for her numerous policy shifts, including on fracking, border security, and private health insurance. CNN's John Berman pressed Harris spokeswoman Adrienne Elrod on the issue, saying that the candidate clearly has time to do an interview if she's so inclined. That same day, Eric Schmidt, the Republican from Missouri, told Berman that Harris wouldn't face difficult questions because she has an indefensible record. And as I said when we watched the basement campaign of Joe Biden in 2020, I said, if this works, we're going to see more of it. And that's exactly what's happening. Got it right again. This is the Wells Report. John David Wells back with more coming up in just a couple of minutes for this Wednesday. Today's August 14th, year of our Lord, 2024.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. If you find value in this broadcast, subscribe to it, please. I would sure appreciate it. Also, send it to your friends. Ask them to subscribe to it. Let's build this show from our friends, shall we? Let's pass it around and see what happens. Also, give us thumbs ups. Those really work. And make sure you light the notification bell so you know when we're going to be on the air. From time to time, we move things around. Like, for example, tomorrow, I have... a personal problem I have to take care of. And at the risk of giving you too much information, if you look at my hair, I look like a damn hippie. Yeah. So the broadcast will hit the air tomorrow at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. until 10 so that I can get on my horsey, the magnificent Tahoe named Zeus, and drive far away to get my hair chopped off. So tomorrow, the Wells Report shows up at 8 a.m. live. If you want to watch it, you can see it recorded on all the platforms that you currently look at. And we will obviously have our broadcast tomorrow, but just at a slightly different time. Disappointing news out of Minnesota. Representative Ilhan Omar, for whatever reason, beat back her primary challenger and is going to continue her anti-American, anti-Jewish, anti-Israel work in the United States Congress if she can win the election coming up a little bit later on this year. Minnesota, what are you thinking? What are you doing? Here is someone who has come to the United States from Somalia and indeed had the fruits and benefits of everything that the United States has to offer anyone coming to our country, and she hates it. She hates the country. She wants it to be a socialist paradise, just like the one her entire family moved away from in Somalia. And I have no idea why Minnesotans have lost their minds, but they certainly have. And that's the way I feel. That's just an opinion on my part. If you feel differently, if you think Ilhan Omar has something to offer the United States, by all means, tell me. 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. I will be happy to hear what you have to say on that particular topic. And so, Ilhan Omar beat back a primary challenger, this from USA Today, in a race watched very closely because two of her progressive colleagues lost their own primary bids in the face of massive spending from pro-Israeli groups. The Minnesota lawmakers' victory came after Representatives Jamal Bowman of New York and Cori Bush of Missouri, all members of the informal group of House lawmakers known as the Squad, indeed were booted by moderate Democrats. Each has been a vocal critic of Israel's actions in Gaza as the Israeli-Hamas war has raged on. But Omar entered Tuesday's race on firmer footing than her fellow lawmakers, and I'm really disappointed about it. But once again, what do you do with that? How do you actually do something about a group of voters, for whatever reason, believe that the way to prosperity in the United States is to elect somebody who hates the entire country? I simply do not get it. I don't. And all I can say is, okay, well, if that's what you want, I suppose I've got to respect it because those are the voters of the United States. And so Ilhan Omar beats back a Democrat challenger and will run for her office yet again against a Republican. Will the Republicans try to fight it? I don't know. I doubt it. We'll see. President Trump, for his part, has been spending a lot of time talking about education. And I've got to be honest with you, some of the policies that he's bringing up actually are attractive. There has been a bent in Trump politics to take important decisions and take them back to the states, following a model of the United States of America, as opposed to a federal republic of America, where the federal government makes all these decisions for the states. And he said so regarding the education department. More about that coming up in just a couple of seconds. Let me give you this USA Today article on this. Former teacher Tim Walz is rounding out the Democrat ticket. Education could become a talking point in the election. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump laid out his education policy in Agenda 47, which is not Project 2025, that has nothing to do with the Trump administration or the campaign or anything. It is a think tank product from the Heritage Foundation. Separate from the oft-mentioned, and they say it right here, separate from the oft-mentioned Project 2025, Agenda 47 covers Trump's official policy platform on issues including crime, healthcare, and immigration. The education proposal gives 10 ideas for great schools leading to great jobs that range from curriculum requirements to preferential funding for schools with internship programs. The election comes at a pivotal time for educators, says John Vallant. He is the director of the Brown Center on Education Policy at the Brookings Institution. Between the pandemic and culture wars, teachers have had a rough few years. He says Trump's proposals are unlikely to alleviate the core of those issues. But how could they get any worse? How could they get any worse? There were problems in American education long before COVID. Long before COVID. So there were big problems in education, and a lot of them were generated, in my view, just my opinion, by the federal government. Again, if you feel differently, 817-379-2172, 817-379-2172. The NEA, the National Education Association, the largest teachers union in the U.S., has thrown its support behind Vice President Kamala Harris and Tim Walz NEA President Becky Pringle said the Trump agenda is rooted in his time in office, appointing Betsy DeVos as Education Secretary. Pringle says she hopes for an administration that will help teachers get more resources and respect to alleviate the teachers' shortage. When I started teaching many years ago, I didn't have a clue. Every decision that was going to be made about my kids, my classroom, my colleagues was made by someone who was elected or appointed to some position of power, said Pringle, explaining that they want more educators in public office. We'll have an educator in the White House. Okay. So the thing about that is she's pointing out the exact problem. She is, in unwittingly, but she's saying other people are making my decisions for me. Right. So how do you fix that? Well, you put the decisions back in the states. You run education at the lowest possible level. School boards, school districts, school boards, all of these things make these decisions based on the voters of those particular districts in which they have children. I live in this house mainly because of the reputation of the Keller Unified School District. And so this school district is good. It's not as good as it was touted, but it's good. And so people will take the opportunity to live in a place where there's better education. This indeed does lead you away from progressive states that believe that education is only an opportunity to push a political agenda on our kids, and indeed to collect all kinds of union money from teachers, et cetera, to continue furthering their political agenda. That's not what education is for. Education is to actually inform the children that we send to these schools. The very best way to do that, in my view, is competition. 100% school choice, where all monies follow the student in the schools they choose. Your school choice should not be determined by your zip code. It should be determined by what you think is best for your kids. You can't get that with the federal government imposing policy on school districts far and wide, on states, etc. You can't get it. And so Donald Trump says, let's get away from the Department of Education. I don't think that doing away with the Department of Education is an altogether great idea. I believe, however, it should be much smaller, and what comes out of it should be much simpler. In other words, here are the minimum requirements the federal government believes are necessary for kids in the United States to have in their educational pocket. And that's it. And they use various forms of funding to the schools that do the best, and they put that out there. Instead of saying, tell you what, we'll send you $60,000 per transgender student to be able to support them to your school district. We'll give you $60,000 per student. And suddenly teachers are now working to find as many transgender kids as they possibly can so that they can continue funding themselves. This was the same mechanism that brought teachers diagnosing ADHD among our kids. It's the same thing. And if there's money out there, people will chase it, up to and including deciding that your kid has a problem that they probably don't have, but will say they do in order to get federal funding. That federal funding, and I just said that there should be some of it, but it should not be based on problems at the schools or problems with school students. It should be based on merit because of school districts with higher results, better results on standardized testing. Standardized testing, oh my God, you're teaching to the test. Every piece of education teaches to the test. That's just the way it is. You come up with a set of facts, you teach those facts, and then you determine whether the student has understood those facts. That's called a test. And to get away from that only removes accountability on the part of American educators. Well, the test is wrong. Well, maybe you should be teaching to the test. And maybe what you should do is stop saying, well, no, they need to learn other things. What other things? Teach to the test. This is one of these cockamamie political things that means nothing except that accountability for our children's education goes out the window. The work I've done on research as to finding out where U.S. kids stand in the world leads us to being number 13. Number 13 in the world. Other people say, well, we're all the way down at 40, and I suppose they're basic rubrics. But 13 is bad enough, thanks. Especially considering the money that we spend. We spend billions, if not trillions of dollars on education in the United States. And what's the result of those educations? They get out of college with lousy jobs or lousy job skills, so much so they can't pay their college tuitions, their loans back because they can't find a job. And so the government steps in again and says, well, okay, we'll pay your bills. It's not the government. I mean, call me old-fashioned, but if I'm paying for some kid's college education, I'd like those kids to be mine, not someone else's. And when you consider that there's a huge majority of Americans that do not have college educations, it chafes on all of us to have to pay for some other kid's education because they couldn't do a degree program that led to a reasonable income. And once again, where does that come out of? Well, the Federal Education Department. It's a mess. And yeah, President Trump says, you know what? I really want to get rid of all that. All right. So once again, what are your thoughts? 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. There is polling out there. This comes from Fox News, and it's borderline interesting-ish. A new poll that has found that American adults view Vice President Kamala Harris as a more honest person than former President Donald Trump, but are less likely to trust her when it comes to handling key issues such as the economy and immigration. An AP NORC survey of 1,164 adults revealed that around 4 in 10 say honest better describes Harris compared to 24% for Trump. 4 in 10 respondents also say Harris is someone who cares about people like you, compared to around 3 in 10 saying that about Trump. Okay, so which is going to make this country better? Feeling that Harris is more honest than Trump, or that Harris is someone who cares about people? Is that all you need for a vote? Well, I think she cares about people, so I'm going to vote for her. Excuse me? I mean, there are a lot of things you could ask, like, for example, if she really cared about people, why would she make it impossible for us to be able to buy a tank of gas for less than $100? But once again, that's an opinion. And if you feel differently, call me. When it comes to the economy, 45% said, those surveyed said they believe that Trump is more likely to do a better job handling it, 38% for Harris. And roughly half of U.S. adults say that Harris would do a better job at handling other issues. Let's see, when it comes to racial inequality, abortion policy, and healthcare. Roughly half of U.S. adults say that Trump would do better, Harris would do better. 3 in 10 say that about Trump. And let's see, what are the other things? That 4 in 10 Democrats are excited, and so on. Once again, do we want to elect somebody based on excitement, or do we want to base that on issues? So, okay, so that's polling, and fine. And then finally, one last thing. Former President Donald Trump has lost a bid to replace the judge in his New York criminal hush money case. This is Judge Juan Merchan. He's tried twice before. He did it again because his daughter is raising money for Kamala Harris. Seems like a conflict of interest, but the judge says nope, and that's the third time. Each time, Trump argued the daughters worked for the Democrat political candidates through marketing agency Authentic Campaigns, created either an actual conflict of interest or the appearance of one. The judge is not going to take himself out of that case. Someone else is going to have to. And that's usually an appeals court. And the appeals court is going to turn all this stuff aside. But it still hangs in the air until those appeals come through. And New York and its legal system shooting itself in the foot at every possible turn when it comes to Donald Trump. We got more of the Wells Report coming up in just a couple of moments. Stay right where you are. We'll be back with it in a second.
IATA.
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
This is the Wells Report. John David Wells at your service, 817-379-2172, 817-379-2172. Thanks for joining us. Former South Carolina Governor and UN Ambassador Nikki Haley is one smart cookie. She's blunt, she's straightforward, and she had some words for how the Trump campaign is handling its business yesterday on Special Report with Bret Baier on Fox News. And I have said on this broadcast several different times that indeed the president needs to be more presidential, and he's doing it. He needs to be more disciplined in his communication, and he's doing it. But maybe some of that communication is about the wrong stuff, and that's what Nikki Haley is saying. So let's take a look at part of the interview from yesterday on Special Report, because let me tell you, she did a very, very good job on that, and I hit the button too fast.
There's no question that I want to see Donald Trump win this election, because we can't have a Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. I mean, all you have to do is look at what Kamala Harris has said. She doesn't think illegal immigrants are illegal. She thinks that we should give them free education, free place to live, free health care. Tim Walz thinks socialism is neighborly. And he's gone a step further and thinks we should give them free tuition. They want to raise taxes. You look at everything that's happened with our economy already. We can't afford that. More than anything, from a national security perspective, you can't go to Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, who have not had the foreign policy experience. And the experience they do have is that they want to expand the Iran deal and give more money to a terrorist organization that says death to America. There's a lot of differences there. We are where we are. And right now, for me, for my family, for those that I love, and as a voter, I think we need to hope that Donald Trump wins this election.
Yeah, a couple of recent polls have shown this bump, that this enthusiasm that this new ticket has received. Reuters has registered voters at 49-47, with Harris leading, and among young voters, a big shift going that way. NPR, PBS, Marist has it 51-48, and with suburban women, Harris leading significantly. Will you go out and campaign for the former president?
Well, I think the first thing you need to ask is, I said that early on, I said a vote for Joe Biden is a vote for Kamala Harris. I was always running against Kamala Harris. Republicans should not be surprised that we are now running against Kamala Harris. It was her all the time. There was no way Joe Biden, in the condition that we saw him, could take on the stresses of a presidential election. So, that was something I believed in then. It's why I constantly referred back to her, because I knew that Kamala Harris was the person that we had. And look, what I'll say is it's not an issue of whether I go out and campaign for Donald Trump. He's decided the way he wants to do this. What I will tell you is the Republican Party needs to make a serious shift here. And the first thing is the Republican Party, Donald Trump, people here at Fox, quit complaining that she's not giving an interview. You don't need an interview from Kamala Harris. I take her at her word. I take her at her word that she wants to raise taxes for households over $100,000, that she wants to add a pharmaceutical tax and a healthcare tax. I take her at her word that she thinks that illegal immigrants should be able to vote and be given driver's licenses. I take her at her word that she wants to ban fracking and kill a bunch of U.S. jobs. Take her at her word.
Despite the fact that the campaign has pushed back and put out statements and saying that her positions have changed.
She has said this. Now, what Donald Trump needs to do is go out there and campaign every single day, telling the American people exactly what Kamala Harris has said. We are 80 plus days out. We need him to win. But you got to go out and do the work. And the one thing Republicans have to stop doing, quit whining about her. We knew it was going to be her. She's not going to give an interview. They're going to hold out as long as they can. That's their right. They can do it. That doesn't mean we can't talk about what she believes in. And we should be getting out there and doing that. And more than anything, this is not an election for just the MAGA vote. Trust me, Donald Trump has that. Republicans need to be fighting for suburban women, for college educated, for independents, for moderate Republicans and conservative Democrats. They want to be asked for that.
Yeah, that was a great statement. All of those are right on point. And she's correct. The president needs to move to hold Kamala Harris accountable for her stated positions. If you want Kamala Harris to talk to the press, start talking for her. In other words, start telling the press what she's saying. J.D. Vance does a great job of all that. But the president needs to do that as well. Former President Trump needs to do that as well post-haste. He needs to say, okay, this is what she actually means. She's lying now. And so this is where she actually says, this is what she's doing. And you have to ask two questions. One, what are your policies, Ms. Harris? And two, what changed your mind? Because those policies are at odds with things that you have stood for over a decade. What changed? That makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. By the way, a dear friend of mine is joining us here on the Wells Report. David Aronakis is one of the greatest people I've ever met. And he said, did you notice that Kamala's coup waited till the last second so no one but Kamala Harris could take Joe's place? I would caution that if it looks like she's going to lose, she's going to push Sleepy Joe out of office so that she can take over that particular office, the Oval Office, and then enjoy the power of incumbency, says Mr. Aronakis. If she got moved to the president, she would be hard to beat. She pushed him out. She may do it again. That's a play that you should pay attention to. That is something that they could indeed actually do. Telephone number 817-379-2172, 817-379-2172. As you note, I do pay attention to the chat room, so I will if you're there. So by all means, get there, and I'll look forward to seeing your messages. This is the Wells Report for Wednesday. It is the 14th day of August, year of our Lord, 2024. We'll be back with more on this broadcast with the real news next.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship.
Call 877-655-6870. That's 877-655-6870. 877-655-6870.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. What do we do on this broadcast? We report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We do make commentary. Commentary is not news. Commentary is opinion, yours and mine, valued about the same. And so what we do, and by the way, when I say about the same, I mean they are the same. Whether you like them or not like them, what have you, your opinion is just as valid as mine. So share it. Let's debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. A former federal prosecutor in Minneapolis who is not a fan of Tim Walz, the running mate of Kamala Harris in the 2024 election, has said that the governor, because he allowed Minneapolis to burn, makes him unfit for promotion to vice president of the United States. And he had a lot to say. He said it on Fox News Digital, and we have that for you. Let's listen to this guy who talks a little bit about his firsthand knowledge and experience with Tim Walz.
Honestly, I immediately was not surprised. I mean, I know Kamala Harris is trying to change Minnesota and our country into San Francisco and California, and we definitely don't want that. And she just doubled down and made the most radical leftist, presidential ticket in American history. And for me, it is personal to me. I mean, I was a federal prosecutor for 4 years where I tried to put bad guys behind bars all across the state of Minnesota. And so you had Tim Walz, who couldn't lift a finger during the George Floyd riots for multiple days, letting our city burn, literally. And then you had, at the same time, Kamala Harris, getting people to donate to this Minnesota Freedom Fund that bailed out criminals who then weeks later committed murder. And my job during that time was to actually put these arsonists behind bars. I actually charged 2 criminals who threw Molotov cocktails in a courthouse right here in the district that I'm running in. I charged two people who tried to burn down a small business. So it's just unfathomable to me that happened, and we can't let that happen to our country if Tim Walz and Kamala Harris are in control.
Yeah, and he makes no bones about that. And he says, yeah, this is a real problem. But he's not the only one. Lisa Hanson used to run a wine and coffee bistro. She'd been in business about 8 years. She was thrown into jail for violating Minnesota Governor Tim Walz's lockdown orders, telling Fox News the now Democrat vice presidential candidate essentially shut down and destroyed her small business. And she warns Americans, quote, "You do not want tyranny at this level." A mother of 8 children and soon to be 18 grandchildren, she said, besides a speeding ticket she received as a teenager, she'd always been a law-abiding citizen and owned businesses with her husband for more than 30 years. At the time COVID-19, the pandemic was in full swing in 2020. Hanson said the Interchange Wine and Coffee Bistro in Albert Lee, which is about 90 miles south of Minneapolis, had been open for about 8 years. Her wine and coffee bistro initially complied with the shutdown order in March. However, Hanson said she watched for months afterward as Walz never really fully reopened the state when it came to businesses deemed non-essential: bars, restaurants, gyms, dance studios, hair salons, and stripper bars. By contrast, the governor never shut down liquor stores, big box stores, or any of those other things. He shut down a lot of the mom and pop shops, those folks that were just trying to make a living, providing a great product and a great service, Hanson told Fox News. In contrast, he allowed big box stores to stay open. Hundreds and hundreds of people at a Costco or a Walmart or what have you, they got to stay open. But her coffee wine bistro, no. Hansen finally decided to reopen her business, defied Walz's renewed shutdown order for bars and restaurants 6 times between December 2020 and January of 2021. She was convicted in December of 2021 on misdemeanor charges, received the maximum sentence of 90 days and a $1,000 fine. Hansen ended up serving about 60 days. This is a story America needs to hear. Tim Walz is not some cuddly, joyful coach like all the things the mainstream media are calling him. This is not who that man is. This man will take away your rights. He will take your rights away, because what happened to me could have happened to anybody. What happened to me will happen to you. There is no doubt about the fact that government by emergency suspends the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. We have seen it. We have seen it for ourselves. And what we have seen are leftist governors, mayors, so on around the country using the opportunity to govern under emergency to suspend the Constitution and Bill of Rights, up to and including throwing people in jail. We've seen that. We've also seen people like Gavin Newsom ignoring his own rules, showing up at the French Laundry for dinner with his friends. This is ridiculous, especially in light of what has happened since then. It wasn't an epidemic of the unvaccinated. It wasn't any of those things. What it was a way for people in power to exert that power extracurricular of the Constitution of the United States. And so when you start thinking about the people who would do that, are those the people that need to be in higher government office or in lower government office, if not out of government service? You tell me. 817-379-2172. Did any of those draconian COVID restrictions do anything? No. I mean, it's Anthony Anthony Fauci took every possible vaccine that he could. He's taken 6 of them. And he's had COVID 3 or 4 times. I took 3 of those shots, Moderna, the ones I wanted, had no ill effects, except, of course, for some guy who tried to essentially, jam the needle into my lungs, through my shoulder, by the way. That hurt a little bit. But I didn't have any ill effects from the vaccines. But I also got COVID twice. So all these people rushed to judgment on all of these things following the pseudoscience being spewed by the government, which was easily understood, at least by me, that were those ideas coming from the CDC, et cetera, were simply faulty. And they ran with it. And Tim Walz was one of those guys. Is that somebody that you want to reward? Do you want to reward Tim Walz with higher public office when he has been shown to suspend the Constitution under emergency conditions? By the way, when I got COVID, maybe I was lucky. It was a mild cold both times. And you need to keep in mind, hey, mild colds, I really hadn't had many of them. Until COVID showed up, I hadn't had a cold in at least a decade and a half. I mean, I just haven't. But whatever that bug was enough to give me a cold. Barely a fever. Sniffles, coughs, raspy throat, etc. That was it. And that was after 3 of those shots. And I'm trying to figure out just exactly what I was injected with. And I certainly think Joe Biden got every possible shot. Just recently faced another bout of COVID. That's 2 or 3 times to my memory. But what politicians did, including in Dallas County, right over there, was to destroy an awful lot of businesses while maintaining businesses that were gigantic. These big box stores, they got to stay in business. There were hundreds of people in those stores every single day, but you couldn't get a cup of coffee or you couldn't get a wine and cheese tray at a wine bistro. All the while, Nancy Pelosi getting her hair done in violation of all those draconian policies in California. All these people that just ignored the law because, well, they were essentially enforcing the law as they saw it at the time, which was not the law. It was not the law. Did we lose a lot of people because of COVID? Yes. Was it something we never held the people responsible for accountable? Yes. Did we hold the American people accountable for looking at the situation clear-eyed and saying, you know, this isn't making sense to me, and I have a business to run, and I have a living to make, and I should be able to do so in the United States of America, regardless of what bug happens to be floating around in the air? This is a textbook example of abuse of government, of abuse of the citizenry. And Tim Walz was right at the apex of all of that. All of it. You okay with it? Tell me why. 817-379-2172. You think Tim Walz did the right thing? Let me know. I'm really interested. Because all of that touched us. Walking around in masks, social distancing, that meant nothing. Taking a series of vaccines, rush to the marketplace, with the actual manufacturers absolved from liability if they did not work or if they made people ill, both of which happened. So once again, what we have here is we have abuse of power, and nobody's been held accountable. The only way you can hold people accountable is by not allowing their political delirium to be promoted into a higher office. Tim Walz is a progressive. He is a radical according to some people. And he will take those radical progressive policies with him to the Naval Observatory where he will live and into the administration that he will serve in. And once again, that's okay. I mean, if you believe this guy is the very best candidate, by all means, cast your ballot accordingly. But I don't think so. I think this guy's a menace. I think this guy, after standing there saying, I served my country, right. If you served your country, then why are you trying to change it? Why are you trying to turn it into something that's not our country? And indeed, there's proof. And this takes us back to what Nikki Haley was talking about with regards to Donald Trump. Kamala Harris doesn't want to talk to the press? Okay. Answer those questions of Kamala Harris that should be asked by the press. Ask those questions and answer them on behalf of Kamala Harris. She'll get to a press outlet at some point. She will. Once she's being defined by her competition, then she'll say, oh, wait a minute, I got to do something. Yeah. And she better do it fast. She has a debate coming up. She will not be able to hide from the mainstream media when it comes to even ABC doing this debate. She's not going to be able to hide from these questions, no matter how much of a softball they lob at her. And she's not going to be able to do it unless she gets some practice. Now's the time. But once again, she does have a problem. She's got to answer two things. These are your policies as stated by you for over a decade. Now you say you don't feel that way. What made you change your mind? I don't think she's got an answer. And we'll see. This leads to what I consider to be an upcoming looming faceplant on the part of the Democrat presidential candidate. And that's going to be tough for the Democrat Party. This is the Wells Report.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. I'm John David Wells. There is valor, best shown by the United States military and the people who serve in it. It doesn't necessarily take some heroic move against a machine gun nest or something along those lines. Sometimes it happens in training. The United States military found out after the crash of an MV-22B Osprey that went down in Australia during a military exercise in August of 2023. They have found that one Marine who was thought to have perished in the crash actually did not. The aircraft went down. He left through a side door and then realized that the pilots inside the burning aircraft were trapped. And so he did something about it. He re-entered the burning cockpit of the aircraft in an attempt to rescue the trapped pilots. And in that heroic act, he lost his life. 23 service members were on board the Osprey when it went down. The majority managed to escape out the back of the airplane, but Captain Eleanor LeBeau, Aircraft Commander Major Tobin Lewis, and indeed, Corporal Collard, Spencer R. Collard, died in that crash. Understanding the nature of Collard's death became difficult after one commander who survived the crash described seeing him escape through the wreckage through a side door. On-site teams later recovered the young Marine's in-flight tether at the site of the disaster, largely undamaged. Military investigators believe Collard escaped the wreckage but then ran back toward the flames, trying to rescue the pilots. He died with those pilots after succumbing to heat and smoke. He's being honored posthumously with the Navy and Marine Corps Medal. That is the Navy's highest non-combat decoration. There is valor. Bravery is something that is landed on your shoulders. Courage is knowing that if you do a thing, you will likely either suffer huge personal injury or die. Having that courage and then acting on it is valor. And this young corporal, Spencer Collard, paid for his valor, his courage, his bravery with his life. There are people like that out there. There are people that actually honestly run to the sound of gunfire, not away from it. And they're all around you. Many of these things don't happen to affect your life or be a part of it in any way. But I assure you, if you ever find yourself in a position of harrowing destruction, that there is very likely someone that you probably will never know, didn't know before, won't know afterwards, that will put bravery, courage, and valor together and save you. This is a good-looking Marine here. It's a good-looking Marine. Went through that training, realized what he had to do. He had to save his pilots. And he did so, or tried, and entered death with the pilots he was trying to save. God bless this United States Marine Corps Corporal, Spencer R. Collard. God bless him. Let's all pray for the family who are suffering grief as we speak. Pray for them. This is the Wells Report. John David Wells at your service. There's more of this broadcast coming up in just a couple of seconds. I certainly hope you stay and watch it next.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. There is good economic news. It comes from CNN Business. The price hikes that we've been dealing with through inflation has slowed more than expected in July. For the first time in more than 3 years, the consumer price index has landed below 3%. That paves the way for the Federal Reserve to perhaps cut interest rates next month, after a years-long battle with inflation that sent rates spiking to a 23-year high. American economy is showing signs of stress, though. And now that inflation appears to be under control, the Fed can reduce borrowing costs to try to get the job growth booming again. Consumer prices rose 2.9% for the 12 months ending in July. This is a rolling average. So in August, they go back to August and they average everything up, and that's how all this works. On a monthly basis, prices rose 2% or 0.2% after posting a 0.1% decline the month before. So, in other words, prices were up, but because of the vagaries of statistics, the statistical analysis brings the inflation rate on this rolling average I'm discussing to 2.9%, which is the lowest it's been during the Biden administration. So yeah, there are certain things that you need to keep in mind. Breaking 3% is a key psychological positive. This, according to Sun Wan Song, the professor of finance and economics at Loyola Marymount University, chief economist of SS Economics, speaking to CNN in an interview. It shows inflation is not only trending down, but disinflation is on track. In other words, what happens is the actual economy contracts. It's called disinflation, but the actual simpler word is deflation, where the economy slows down, which leads us to another problem. That other problem is recession. This, I'm bringing this up because it's cogent to the subject, but I have to point out before I give you this information that it comes from Newsweek magazine, which hasn't exactly covered itself in glory with their journalistic pursuits. Okay? So take this with whatever grain of salt you believe should be applied to it. A cooling labor market is raising concerns the U.S. economy might be headed toward a recession after all this year, instead of making a soft landing projected by most experts. Housing expert and journalist Lance Lambert shared data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. This happened yesterday, showing the country's labor force growth slowed. Unemployment has risen over the past 12 months. Then he puts on X this. Usually before a recession, 1, labor force growth decelerates. 2, unemployment counts rise. We are seeing both right now. These are two trends that are usually observed before a recession, he wrote on X. We're seeing both. The pandemic, post-pandemic economy is unique in many ways, he added in another post. But if economists are going to tell us to disregard many traditional recession indicators, then it's fair to ask them what economic data would they need to see to roll over in order to be concerned. Data compiled by Lambert for Resi Club, that's RESI Club, found that over the past 12 months, the size of the U.S. labor force grew by 1.3 million. During that same period, the number of unemployed workers increased by 1.2 million. Latest data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows the U.S. unemployment rate rose to 4.3% in July, the highest level since October of 2021, again at the outset of the Biden administration, while the U.S. economy created only 114,000 jobs, the second lowest monthly gain in more than 4 years. And so everybody says, oh my God, the R word, recession. Recessions are not altogether bad. There is a cyclical aspect of any economy, even ones that are totally controlled by the government. There are certain things that are outside the government purvey. Like, for example, in the old Soviet Union, they would have trouble with wheat production. Now, that wasn't the result of necessarily bad government policy. It may have been the result of political favors being handed out to some wheat growers where others had to suffer. Or maybe there's a technological issue. Or maybe it was just a bad year to grow wheat. Even totalitarian governments can't control that. And so when you're in a position where you're dealing with all of this, there are certain things you can do something about and certain things you cannot do something about. And we're seeing a lot of these things roll into what might be called a recession. And it might indeed be a recession. But once again, that isn't necessarily an altogether bad thing. Yeah, people lose their jobs. Unemployment is up. Yeah, the economy is not adding jobs to the degree it was, although it's a net positive, but a very small one. And when those things happen, companies do start to run for cover. They start cutting more workforce. We'll probably see more of that, not less. And we'll also see fewer prices, fewer products, which will drive the price up, the law of supply and demand. And so, as we look at this, Yeah, okay, so the numbers changed. But is there anything behind them that supports that number change except just a vagary of statistics? There's a guy who's out there that I spend a lot of time listening to because he's fair. Kevin O'Leary is his name. He's on Shark Tank, and he's also an investor and O'Leary Ventures chairman. This guy looks at things from a green perspective, and I'm not talking about the climate. I'm talking about money. Money's green. And O'Leary says very good things about a lot of very important topics. This was from Fox Business News. I want you to take a look at this as we continue on the Wells Report.
What does that mean for you in terms of how many Fed rate cuts you're thinking we'll get?
I don't think it's enough. I mean, the debate amongst investors right now is that September going to be a 50 basis point cut or 25. What this report tells me, and you look at the bond rates, the 2 and the 10-year, inflation is very, very, very sticky. And it's very difficult for the Fed to maneuver here because their mandate is 2%, not 2.5%, not 2 3/4, 2%. So do they take the brakes off now and to start cutting right now? I think it's iffy. I'm kind of in the maybe 25 basis point, wait and see. But that report, while interesting, there's still a lot of inflation in the system.
Yeah, there is a lot of inflation in the system. That was some of the things that I was discussing here a minute ago. Not all indicators support that 2.9% inflation. Now, I've said this over and over and over again. It drives me nuts when people play politics with economic data. No, it is not empirical. No, it is not an exact science. There is a lot of subjectivity in looking at all these numbers and putting them all together. But what this would normally be called a statistical blip, it is still something that's valid. Okay, inflation is coming down, albeit maybe because of this statistical blip, but at least it's maybe stabilizing. In other words, if it was a poll, we'd say that it was in the margin of error. Okay, that's fine. That's just fine. But when you look at this and you start thinking about, okay, what's ahead of us, and you start looking at other economic indicators, and then you have to go back to just the basic idea of what we're doing. Energy costs are ferociously too high. Energy costs, not just your fuel, but the fuel of the trucks that bring your food to your grocery store, that bring your products to your favorite Walmart. All of that goes up. Prices go up. And when it comes to food, okay, you still got to pay a lot more money to get a truck to take all of those really cool little pre-made loaves of bread at your local Subway. It costs more money to get those loaves of bread frozen into that store. And what you have to do is you have to take a look at the fact that maybe people aren't buying them as much. As I keep pointing out, I was just, it was eye-watering to walk into a Subway, which is just a sandwich shop. Good sandwich shop, but a sandwich shop. Sandwiches. Buying three regular subs and paying $36 for them. Are you serious? And yes, they are. They're absolutely serious. And that's what's hurting the United States economy. What do? Well, what you do is you start exporting oil, and you start doing it now. And you make dang sure that after you crash the price of worldwide oil, and they keep talking, I remember when they were trying to justify ridiculous price increases in fuel during the Obama administration. They said, well, we don't really have control of the price. It's a worldwide price. And, okay, well, first of all, that's price fixing. That's illegal in the United States, but let's just deal with it because oil companies have been doing that for decades. Ever since there have been oil companies, there have been price fixing assertions and indeed policies in place. But the United States can control the price of oil simply by exporting it. American light sweet crude is very valuable to people who don't want to spend a whole lot of money refining that oil into these petroleum products. There's less to remove. And so if you put that out on the market, there is a larger supply. Prices go down. And thus, the United States can indeed dictate the price of oil just like OPEC does, just like Saudi Arabia does. And why they don't do it? Well, that's politics. For some reason, the political wizards that live inside the Beltway in Washington, D.C., believe that you should spend more money on fuel and less money on whatever else. Well, those are dinners out. Those are movie dates. Well, suddenly you don't do as many. I know that's true for us. We just don't do as many things as we used to because, well, gas is too expensive. And other things are too expensive. And so when you look at all of this and you realize that because you're not going out to dinner, certain waiters are going to be set aside. Certain people, certain service workers will be let go because there's no need for their services because people aren't coming out to do anything. And that's how it's a basic understanding, but that's how we end up with these recessions. And yeah, prices go back down and people start coming out of their houses and people start doing things again. And suddenly you got to rehire somebody and everything is fine, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But once again, these oscillations in the marketplace are completely unneeded. They're completely unneeded. But because of some climate agenda that started with the green movement in Europe, somehow we decided that the fable of the sky is falling, the Chicken Little fable is actually real. And it's like, it's not. It's simply not. And even if it is real, who cares? My God, do you realize what would happen if the Earth's temperature raises just 1.5 degrees centigrade? It'll destroy the whole planet. Then stop worrying about it. Because if something so minor can destroy this planet, we're done for. Just start living large on the jumbo high and have a great time. Maybe our time is limited. Okay. Okay. But we're not going to be able to do anything about the Earth's climate. And so, when you decide the Earth's climate is more important than Americans having a reasonably priced tank of gas, then you, at least if you're me, you really need to recalibrate your priorities. The objective of a government is to make things easier for their people, not harder. And insofar as a free market economy and a capitalist system works, you create the systems available to make things better for your voters, not worse. You don't tax them into oblivion. You don't remove working capital from entrepreneurs, the rich. You don't remove that capital so that they can't continue their work on trying to make more money. People with brilliant ideas make a lot of money because of brilliant ideas. Doesn't make any difference what form of government you're in. Sooner or later, talent has something to say. And capability has something to say. And product has something to say. And what you need to do is you need to provide all those things to the people of the United States and the manufacturing base in an effort to make life a whole lot better. Maybe I should have hit the button so that you can see my lovely face. Or maybe that's better looking. What do you think? This is The Wells Report. Back with more in a moment.
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? low-cost airlines.
With one call to Low Cost Airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
This is the Wells Report. John David Wells at your service. On this broadcast, we keep our eyes on artificial intelligence. And as it turns out, artificial intelligence might indeed have its eyes on us. So Maria Bartiromo is not your typical financial reporter. She's very, very good at a lot of things, including knowing what news is news and how it affects the economy, et cetera, et cetera. And like it or don't, billions of dollars revolve around artificial intelligence in this nation. So she invited Delphi co-founder and CEO Dara Lajevardian. He has designed an artificial intelligence clone of himself. The company announced the technology that allows for, quote, real-time personalized interactions with digital clones of experts and influencers in a press release. Lajevardian and his clone sat down with Maria Bartiromo's Wall Street to demonstrate the capabilities of the online robot. Why don't you do me a favor, watch this, and tell me whether or not you think it's just as creepy as hell. Take a look.
And I want to start by asking your clone a couple of questions, none of which have been sent to you in advance or your company before now. To Dara's clones, let me ask you what you believe the purpose or the uses of having a clone really is for.
All right, hold on a minute. I got to do something. Okay, so I finally figured out why my computer freezes. I finally figured it out. Okay, it has to do with the fact that if I have a video up, okay, and that's what I was doing there, and if I'm playing that video and I move the mouse of my computer, it freezes it. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to quickly reboot this and get this, because it's useless. It's useless for you to just listen to Maria Bartiromo and this clone. You really want to see this clone operating, okay? And because it's spooky. Now, I actually have seen a movie called The President's Analyst. And in that movie, it was very, very beautifully done. There was an animatronic figure. It did it again. Really? Are you flipping serious? Gosh, this drives me crazy. Absolutely drives me crazy. And I know why it's happening. Because the computer that I'm dealing with doesn't want me to blow I'm being censored by my own computer. That's what's going on here. And my computer does not want you to see this report. And that's what I'm saying. And I mean it. So let me try one more time, and I'll just stay a little longer so you can see this report, because I think you should. Because you got to see what this artificial intelligence, what this clone is actually doing. I mean, it's like, seriously? Let me, okay, good. Yeah, I have a really long password, but for a very good reason. Now I'm going to just sit here and wait, because every time I move my mouse, my computer freezes. And I'm sure that there's some sort of brilliant person who maybe works in an Apple store that says, I think I know what's causing that problem. Because I assure you that once I get finished with this particular segment, I'm going to call Apple Care, and I'm going to say, hey, you guys at Apple Care, I need you to help me out with something. And let's see if oh, good. All right, now let's see if this sucker will work. Now, remember, this is Maria Bartiromo. She is talking with an AI clone of a guy who designed the AI clone, and you can have one too. Check out this interview.
And I want to start by asking your clone a couple of questions, none of which have been sent to you in advance or your company before now. To Dara's clones, let me ask you what you believe the purpose or the uses of having a clone really is for.
The purpose of having a clone is to scale your unique way of thinking and interacting. It allows you to share your knowledge, experiences, and personality with others in a personalized way. This can be incredibly valuable for mentoring, teaching, or even just sharing your insights with a broader audience. What aspect of cloning interests you the most?
Well, what I really want to get to is, what are the disadvantages, and is this going to hurt me in any way? I mean, if I set up a clone of myself, for example, to help me at work, how will you be protecting my company's proprietary material?
Great question. We take security very seriously. Your company's proprietary material is protected through strict data privacy measures and encryption. Only authorized users can access your clone, and you have full control over what information it can share. This ensures your sensitive data remains secure while you benefit from the clone's capabilities. What specific tasks at work are you thinking of using your clone for?
Well, I'll ask the questions. And my next question is, how am I going to prevent someone else from creating a clone of myself? And how am I going to ensure that someone creating a clone of myself is not going to abuse it?
We manually verify every user who signs up to create a clone by requiring a photo of them holding their ID. This ensures only you can create your clone. Unauthorized use results in a permanent ban. What specific tasks at work are you thinking of using your clone for?
Well, let me ask you this. Let's say I have a clone of myself. How do I ensure that that clone is going to answer the questions that that clone is being asked as the way that I would want those questions answered? In other words, how well will that clone know me?
Your clone will know you well because it learns from the content you provide. You can upload blog, posts, videos, and other materials that reflect your knowledge and style. Plus, you can engage in interactive Q&A sessions to fine-tune its responses. What kind of content would you start with?
Yeah. So what did you notice? The long pause. Well, that's just a technological issue that I'm sure they'll probably figure out at some point. Okay. The other thing that you notice is that the clone doesn't breathe. What he does is he makes a statement, then makes another one, then makes another one after that, and keeps talking without breathing, just moving forward with a constant flow of information without having to actually stop to take a breath, which is creepy. Now, if this is artificial intelligence, then it is also intelligence. It is not your intelligence. This clone is not you. It will be a while before they can come up with a clone that would react just like you do. I mean, just like you do. But once again, you have to keep in mind that even if AI is good enough so that they can actually start using your experience sets, your data in your mind right now, even if they could start doing it, well, do you answer the same question the same way every time? The answer is no. You don't. But now what we have is a convincing clone of someone. Now, do you believe that everybody you talk to, say, for example, on a Teams meeting or a Zoom call, do you happen to believe that, let me get this, do you happen to believe that you're actually talking to a real person? The other day on X, I was being scammed by what I figured out was artificial intelligence. It was having a conversation with me, but it was putting out these long paragraphs that that couldn't be typed that fast. And it was basically throwing back what I had thrown at it. And then it sent me a video. Now, someone had set this thing up to try to scam money out of me, which is not something that I fall for insofar as I don't have money. So there's a check and balance there that's rather American and capitalist, et cetera. If you don't have money, you really can't invest in something stupid. But that being said, what was fascinating to me is the basis for that particular clone, if you will, was a woman who lived in England. She was a medical student, and she had these health vignettes that she would put on X. But when I got a video that mentioned my name specifically, looked me in the eyes and started asking me for money, it was basically Heather's voice, whatever that artificial voice is, it's with your favorite, interactive beastie. And I realized I was talking to artificial intelligence. Is that going to happen more, or is that going to happen less as we continue down this fantastic technological road? I wonder. Actually, I don't wonder. We are going to see this more, not less. And it creeps me out. It really does. And by the way, Fran Drescher, who happens to be the president of the Screen Actors Guild, is calling AI, which would be used to reanimate maybe a dead actor or something. We've seen that, by the way, in the latest Star Wars movie. Carrie Fisher was put back on the screen. She's calling them fraudsters. I was thinking about, okay, how would artificial intelligence entertain itself? Would it be necessary? And indeed, would actors become obsolete at all levels? So clearly, SAG-AFTRA, the Actors Union, has a lot of work to do. This has been the Wells Report. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks very much for joining me today. I'll be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. early tomorrow because I got to get a haircut because I look like a damn hippie. Look at this hair hanging all over. And I'm going to go to a small town in Texas to somebody who's been cutting my hair for, I don't know, a long, long time. And she's going to do it again. So I'll be back with a better haircut on Thursday. No, today's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for Fishing Shirt Friday. God bless you and yours. Take good care of yourself. And thanks very much for being a part of this broadcast. And I will see you again tomorrow for another edition of the Wells Report. Take care. Be safe. Make good decisions.